the Caregiver Connection podcast by Best Care, where we dive into new topics each week, drawing inspiration from our insightful and educational blog posts. We're committed to providing valuable information that impacts both home care clients and caregivers. Without further ado, let's jump into this week's episode. Caring for a loved one with cystic fibrosis. According to the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation Patient Registry, about 30,000 people in the United States live with cystic fibrosis. Doctors diagnose about 1,000 new cases of this hereditary disease each year. In addition, the Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh reported that 10 million Americans carry the gene for cystic fibrosis but do not have the disease themselves. While there is not a cure for this disease, advances in treatments for cystic fibrosis have extended the life expectancy of people living with cystic fibrosis. Supportive care also can improve the quality of life for people with cystic fibrosis, empowering them to live full lives. Here's a look at what cystic fibrosis is, how it affects people, and what types of care and treatment can help to manage these symptoms. What is cystic fibrosis? Cystic fibrosis is a disease that is transmitted genetically and affects the glands in the body that create mucus. Normally, mucus is a watery fluid, but in people with cystic fibrosis, this substance becomes thin and sticky. This means that instead of flowing through the lungs and other organs, the mucus lodges in the airways and ducts, thus blocking these passageways. The location of the blockage determines the types of symptoms the person with cystic fibrosis experiences and which organs will be affected. Some of the organs affected by cystic fibrosis include the lungs, resulting in shallow breathing and risk of more severe types of respiratory distress or infections. The pancreas, affecting the process in which nutrients are absorbed by the body and potential malnutrition. The sweat glands, resulting in disruption of the balance of minerals in the blood, which affect heart functioning, leading to palpitations, dehydration, and fatigue. What triggers cystic fibrosis flare-ups? Thanks to advances in the diagnosis and treatment of cystic fibrosis, people are living longer lives. However, people will continue to have symptoms flare-ups, which means their caregivers need to have the flexibility to ensure their loved one is monitored and following their treatment protocols. Flare-ups can be triggered by disruptions to the respiratory system, such as chest or lung infections, frequent coughing that may produce phlegm, repeated lung infections, wheezing, shortness of breath, or obstructed airways. Caring for cystic fibrosis. If you notice any of those symptoms, the best form of treatment that can be completed at home is a manual chest physical therapy. This helps to break up mucus buildup in the patient's lungs. ACT is often prescribed alongside other treatment options, including inhaled bronchodilators to help relax the muscles and widen airways before performing ACT, antibiotics to fight infection, and certain medications that help thin mucus so it's easier to loosen. Being able to provide relief at home is a huge benefit for any person with CF, but especially for children. Being rushed to a hospital during a flare-up disrupts learning and social activities and means that it's harder to live a more regular routine. What's more, being able to clear the airway in the comfort and familiarity of your own home is a much more reassuring experience for patients of all ages. Home caregivers can also support people living with CF in a variety of different ways, depending on how the disease affects them. If cystic fibrosis has damaged the person's sweat glands, they may have a port to which an IV can be attached to deliver fluids and minerals. Families also rely upon a PCA to help with bathing, staying on top of nutrition, and other self-care tasks, as well as housekeeping and providing transportation to doctor's appointments during flare-ups. At Best Care, we are here to offer you guidance and information about how cystic fibrosis home care services can greatly improve the quality of life for children and adults living with this debilitating disease. If you find this podcast helpful, share this with a friend, leave a review, and don't forget to subscribe. Contact us today for expert guidance and support. Visit bestcaremn.com. Thanks for listening to the Caregiver Connection.